Hey folks, alright, just getting ready to change out the control board on my Pitt Boss. It's an older Series 5. This thing's seen a lot of use, but it keeps on chooching. I've had to change a few things on it. This is my third control board down there, and it still works, but then I picked this up. This is a Wi-Fi control board that supposedly works for this. So we're going to give it a try. I picked it up through Amazon Vine, so I just have to do a review on it. Best way to review something is to install it. So we're just going to get started here, and we're going to clean this thing up after we're done. But I want to show you kind of how I have changed the control boards in the past. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull all the racks out. We're going to take the smokestack off, take the door off, then get all the pellets out of it, flip it upside down. That seems to have been the easiest way to do this. So kind of bear with me as we go along, and I'll try to involve you guys. So let's just get all these racks off. There we go. And I know I'm wearing gloves, which, oh, he doesn't want to get dirty. No, with this stuff. Take the water tray out. Take the, whatever that thing is, the heat box. All right. Now we got all this out. We might as well take all these out too, because if not, they're just going to be rattling around. Hopefully I can remember where they all go. We might clean all that up today. Now for this, we're going to need to vacuum. Let's just go ahead and take the door off. Usually it just takes just a little bit of upward force, and then the door comes right off. Alright, that leaves us with this. Let's go ahead and get the smokestack off. Those 4 screws hold the smokestack on. And we're going to get this thing all nice and cleaned up today too. So when we're done, it's going to look almost restored. Alright, put the screws over there. Alright, so that's all that off. Alright, I'm going to go grab a vacuum. We're going to vacuum out this bottom. And then all we're going to do is flip it over and get all the pellets out of it. There's a little door on the bottom here you can use to start getting the pellets out. So let me go grab a vacuum and we'll be right back. Now's the fun part, getting the pellets out of it. Alright, so this is the problem with these pellets. You can see that they're all starting to swell up right here. So I don't know if I should save these in the same bucket, because they're just going to contaminate my good pellets. So let's get a different container. Alright, got a different container now, so we can get these old pellets out of here now. There's a lot more in there, so we might just have to tilt it on its side and get them out that way. Let's see. Now we got her flipped over. There was a few pellets left in there, but they're not going to mess with anything. So now we have to get the control panel off and get to all the connections. And to do that, we're going to have to take this little panel here off first. I usually just put the screws in the order I take them out along here. Put whatever panel they came off of in front of them. Alright, now this one here, if I remember, it's kind of a pain in the butt, because a lot of these are stripped out from all the times I've had to take this thing apart. Like I've said, I've replaced just about everything on here at least once. The control panel, I'm on my third one, and I'm about to put my fourth one on, only because I want the Wi-Fi capability. Take all these little screws and hold on to them. 6 of them. There's one down here that's kind of hard to show you, or even get to. So we're just going to tilt this thing. So now we have this exposed. Still need to take this panel here off, this cover off, so we can get to all the control panel wires. You got your grounding screw down here. Over. Said this thing's been apart a lot. Alright, so now we have that. Now we got these zip ties we need to cut, and then all the connectors. So let me grab something to cut the zip ties with. Alright, got a little pair of nippers to get all the zip ties off with. I can get this guy and this guy out the way. Alright, let's look at the connections on the new control panel. Make sure we're similar. So okay, those all work. Those are all the same. Alright, looks like we got everything matches up, so we can go ahead and unhook everything. What I like to do is take a quick picture of how the connections are connected before I start taking them apart. That way I can refer back to them. Because if I have to rely on my memory, let's just say it ain't gonna work. Alright, those are done. Get the grounding cable off. I love this little screwdriver from Ryobi because you can use it straight on or like with like a handle. Save the washer and screw. Now the last thing is the control panel itself. It clips on in there. Alright, if I remember right, there's a couple of clips. They're kind of hard to see with the camera, but trust me, they're just two small clips on the back of the control panel. Just push those in. You just got to get those little clips while you're pushing on the control panel. What you don't want it to do is go back in once you get it unclipped. So push it in, find that other clip, push it, and then see how it's coming out on this side. Just grab that, find those other clips, and just hold all that out while you get the last one. Alright, that's kind of it. Right, we got the power cord here. Slide all that through. Alright, so this one, like I said, it still works. It's just not Wi-Fi. So I'm going to hold on to it in case this one doesn't work or goes out down the line. Cables get fed through the ground and everything. Feed all that through, feed the power cord through. And it just literally just clips on. See, these got these, well, can't show you now, but anyways, it just clips on. Just that simple. It's super easy. Getting it off, like I said, is a little bit of a pain, but as you can see. Alright, let's do the ground first. Get that done. Get my little Ryobi. Put it on forward. Put that in place. Let's refer to the picture. Alright, so red and white go to the red and red. Purple and white go to the double white. Alright, so red, 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 and they only go on one way. There's a little shape right there. Purple and white goes to the white and white, so the last one obviously goes to the last one. This one doesn't want to go on there. There we go. Alright, so those are all bueno. Now we can put some zip ties back into this guy. The last one. Just down through the bottom hole. Alright, so all of this gets fed. Alright, so now all you gotta do is zip tie them up. This end, the open end of this little channel, goes on this side, and the closed end goes towards the back of the smoker. Gather all these up, and we can move them around once we get them kind of settled in there, because this is going to press up against that like that. So you just want to get them all tucked in and out the way. Let's get all these tied off. And we'll use a little zip tie gun. I don't know if anybody's ever used these things before, but they are amazing. I don't know how I lived this long in my life without it. I mean, how quick is that? Boom. You want to make sure it lines up with the holes there. Alright, we can put this guy back in it. Yeah, they're not really, screws are just more, just keep them kind of in place. They're not getting tight anymore. They are kind of stripped out. That one held tight. All right. Now, this cover next, and it just kind of slack there. Two more screws. We're almost done, folks. All right, it's kind of all back together. Let's flip her over and give it a test run, and then we'll clean this thing up, put it back together, and maybe throw a pork shoulder on. All right, before we get it all buttoned up, we're going to do a quick test. So I'm going to download the app for it. Alright, now it's priming. Let's try using it without the app for now, just to make sure this thing works. Alright, turn it on. Why does it keep giving me an error? Alright. I know the motor's fine. Alright, folks, well, we got a problem here. Got it to work. I had to bypass it because it kept saying that the motor wasn't working. So I bypassed it. It's working, but it's not getting hot. So I gotta fool with this thing. Alright, folks, so in this episode or chapter or installment, let me just catch you up to speed. My Pitt bus, it was working fine. I've had to change a few things on it, but anyways, I got a new control panel for it, and it's a Wi-Fi control panel. Hooked it up, and it said my auger didn't have enough oomph to auger, and it kept throwing it in default mode. So I was like, all right, well, let me get a new auger motor. And then I was able to bypass it, got it going a little bit, but my igniter wouldn't ignite. And I've had some issues with my igniter not coming on. So I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to go ahead and change the igniter too. So I ordered auger motor and igniter, but I ended up ordering the fan, induction fan, instead of the auger motor by mistake. So this is the igniter. Came in a 2-pack. That's the induction fan. So I got an extra igniter when I need it. So I went and ordered the right thing that I need, which is the auger motor. So what I'm going to do today, since I got this, and I'm about to take this whole thing apart, I'm just going to go ahead and change it all out while I've got it apart. And upside down and pellets everywhere, because I just couldn't be bothered to take the pellets out this time. This is like the 5th time I've had to flip this thing over. And I refuse to buy a new one, because if I can fix it, I'm going to fix it. If I can't fix it, then I'll get a new one. But at this point, matter of undoing some screws and some wires, we're going to try to fix it and get it running again instead of buying a whole brand new one, because these things are, they're nonsense expensive for what you get, I think. But as long as they're user serviceable and I can swap parts when I need to, I'm going to keep doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. I think the last video I had already taken it apart. Well, this is all back together again, so we got to start basically from scratch and take it all apart. So first thing is this. Make sure we're on reverse. So heat shield here. There's 2 screws there. Alright, heat shield comes off. Alright, there's the control panel wiring. Now this panel will come off. Now most of these screws are stripped, so I just only one of them. The only one I'm holding on the bottom here. Only one of these holding. Get some bigger screws for this. Alright. Track of all these little guys and everywhere we take this thing off. Alright. Now we have the wiring harness, and I think we can leave this together. We'll just unhook all the connectors and move it out the way. And this last guy comes off. Alright, so I think we're good just moving this out the way for now. And then all of this have to come off, and we're going to change all this out. Alright, we're in reverse. So this is the induction fan housing. This is where you get access to the ignition rod or igniter rod, whatever it's called. Take this cover, put it here, 2 screws for it. They're a little different. And I like to just put the screws in the order that I take everything off. Alright, take that cover off. Those are the screws for it. Alright, now we have the induction fan. Alright, so this is where the auger motor is. So we're just going to pull this cover off. And there's 2 screws on this side. Alright, and that just comes off. There's a little grommet here. Might have to take that grommet off to get the wire through it. Put that cover there and the grommet, keep it all together. Alright, so here is the auger motor. It's just kind of loose in there. Let's just spin this whole thing around and see what we got here. Alright, looks like there's 4 screws holding it on. Like I said, all this stuff's pretty easy to work with. It's just a matter of doing it, you know? You got to take the racks out. You got to take the door off. You should clean all the pellets out before you do this, but just didn't feel like doing it this time, so I'll deal with the pellets after, but it's not that big a deal. Alright, here's 4 screws. It's just these, it's just held on with these 2 side plates. Put those by the screws. Alright, there's the auger. The auger's held to the auger motor with a little screw there. So looks like a little Allen screw and a nut. It just looks like an Allen screw and a nut. I don't know how tight it's on there, so we'll just see if we can do it by finger. If not, we'll go get an Allen screw. All right, we need to get some kind of an Allen screw. Hang on. All right, so it looks like a 3 millimeter. 3 millimeter will work. This one got stuffed full of crap from the pellets. Try to get it all out. So I can't get the Allen key in there all the way. Alright. It's pretty cleared out now. It's not quite 3. I don't know what size this is, but it's kind of working with the 3. So get it to where I can do it by hand. There we go. Alright. Get it off with my fingers. Alright, so that's off. That little nut to the side, and then this Allen screw just comes out, and then the auger comes off. So that's the old auger motor. And let's compare it to this one I picked up. Looks Looks pretty similar. Yep, looks all the same. Alright, so let's get this one onto the auger, and then we'll go to the next step. Just clean the auger up a little, get all the pellets that got stuck on there and dried up and wet over the years. Then let's line the holes up, drop the Allen bolt through there, threads cleaned off. Put the new bolt on, a new nut on. Alright, I had to dig through my little container of Allen keys. Every project I've done that comes with like a free Allen key, I've never thrown those away. And I have a little container just full of random Allen keys. So I found one that fits this perfect. So we'll just tighten this on there, good and snug. I guess it's got a little play in it, and I guess that's intentional. So that's on there nice and snug. Just unwind this wire for it. And then we just put this on it. Alright. I have to review the video because I didn't pay attention to how this thing went on. Alright, I had to review the video and see how this thing went on there. I was not paying attention when I took it off. Alright, so now we can just put these plates back on it that hold it in place. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and reinstall that and be right back. Alright, auger motor is on and secure. Just got to run the wiring for it. Let's go ahead and just change out this induction fan while we're doing things. And like I said, we'll change it all out. We got it. It's not going to hurt to put a new one on it. Start out with a whole new set of things that make this thing run. All right. All these wire ties cut. Right, so this one, we gotta get this grommet out of here again and pull everything through the grommet. Same with, I'd probably have to take this other grommet off too. So that comes through there. Take this grommet off, get that wire out. The grommet goes there. So this is the induction fan. Just make sure it looks like the new one. This is what gets the fire going. Yeah, looks pretty similar. I think that'll work. So at least that's right. Let's put that. Let's take the igniter rod off first. So we need to loosen this up. Take the igniter rod out. So that's basically runs this whole thing. You have an auger motor, an induction fan, and an igniter rod. There's also one more thing that gets wired up right here. That's the thermostat. But I've replaced that recently. It's working good. I'm not going to mess with that. So here's the old igniter rod. Here's the new one. It's a little... The original one, this is the OEM one. It's a little longer, but not a big deal. You only need 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch of this exposed. If you put too much of this out into the burn chamber, you'll prematurely kill this thing. I've actually killed a couple of aftermarket ones and I had to put the OEM one back in because it was kind of working sometimes. So... Alright, we'll put the new igniter in coil all that. Slide that into there, and I'm going to have to go underneath. Let's just kind of get it a little snug, not all the way tightened down, just so it's not sliding back and forth too easy. All right. Now we will go underneath, and you just want to look in there in your burn chamber from underneath, and you only want just like a 1/4 inch exposed of the igniter rod, no more than that. 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. All right, so I'm gonna go do that, and I'll be back. All right, I had to get up underneath the smoker and make sure, but the ignition rod wiring through there, try not to crimp it up. Put the grommet through. And then the induction fan. Just gonna go in there like that. Make sure it spins freely. We're gonna have to probably move the wiring first. So run that through there. Run it through the grommet. Put it back on, run this grommet down. Squeeze it into place. Just get it in its little channel. All right, that's in. Now we got the 4 screws for this guy. Right here. Get those reinstalled. This one didn't want to. All right, I had to switch. Excuse me, I had to switch SD cards because it filled up, and I don't know why I'm shooting this in 4K. All right, put that grommet on there. I should have just done it in 1080. It makes no sense for something like this kind of a project to do in 4K. All right, make sure your fan's spinning freely there. I think we're golden. We can go ahead and put all the covers back on. So let's just get this cover on. Take the wiring for the auger motor, run it through its cover. Put the cover back on. Put this grommet back on. All right, now we're ready to rewire this all up. So here's all the wiring. Obviously the thermostat one goes to the thermostat. It only goes on one way. Then I have to look at my phone because I took pictures of when I took this thing apart, so I remember which wiring goes where. So stand by for that. Just kind of work the pins on there. You don't want them to bend or bind up. See, that one's trying to bend on me. You don't want that. There we go. All right. Purple and white goes to white and white. Purple and white goes to white and white. These connectors only go on one way. We've got a little this pin does not want to line up right. You got to just be careful. All right, slide that one in, and then obviously the last one this to the last connector. Alright, we are golden. Alright, put the cover back on for the igniter rod. Alright, now we have this cover. It's 4 screws. This covers up the induction fan. Alright, last cover. Alright, last cover's on there. All that looks good. Alright, so it's all buttoned back up together. So I'm going to flip it over, put the pellets right, and see if we can get this thing to work. Fingers crossed. I can't cross my fingers. I will tell you this. Every time I do something like this, I have such more respect, such a greater amount of respect, that's what I'm trying to say, to YouTubers. People that do this stuff, like, really do it. I'm just playing around. This, to record and do stuff and keep track of what you're doing and absolute pain in the ass. And it's, you know, my hats go off to these guys that do this for a living. Very impressive to try to keep track of everything you're filming and why you're doing stuff. Like, I just want to take this camera and chuck it because it's in my damn way. But anyways, I'm gonna persevere, and I'm doing this just because it's fun for me, even though it sounds like I'm aggravated. All right, big test here. So first thing we gotta do, turn this thing on. Got the app going. Like I said, this whole thing was to put a new Wi-Fi control panel on it. Alright, let's prime it. Auger's turning. I'm not getting any fault codes so far. I can already smell the ignition rod, igniter rod heating up. I can smell the hot metal already. That beeping's annoying as hell. Hopefully there's a way to turn that off. Should have seen some pellets by now. There they start to come. I always wish the prime was a little faster on these things. I guess they have to do, you gotta deal with the gearing of the auger motor to give it the torque to keep pushing this stuff through. Alright folks, success. It's starting to smoke up here. It might not be able to see it on the camera, but it is getting going. So, in summary, on my Pitt Boss Series 5, I put a new control board on it that does Wi-Fi. Then I had to change out the auger motor, change out the ignition rod, and I went ahead and changed out the induction fan since I ordered it by accident, and I already had the whole thing apart. So basically, we got a brand new, as far as components go, Pitt Boss. I'm going to clean this thing all up and do some smoking. Thanks y'all for watching. Hit me up in the comments you got anything. Later. Alright, mission success. We got her all back together. Kind of cleaned it up a little bit. It is rolling now. The Wi-Fi controller works perfect. You can set the temperature right from your phone and monitor it without having to. You just click on that and put it whatever temperature you're at. I'm getting it up to 250 just to get it all dried out from cleaning it. Pretty cool. If you need to fix your Pitt Boss or whatever, hopefully this helped you. I'll put the links to the to all the components that I got for it in the description. Make it a little easier to search. Obviously these ones all work, so help you out a little bit. Let me know if you got any comments or questions. I think I just gave my old Pitt Boss a whole new lease on life. Thanks for watching.